when third world politics play out in Western democracy. The city minister, whose brief covers corruption, so let's just call her the corruption minister for a shortcut, stands accused of corruption. She's only accused, and I have no insight into guilt. I'm sure there are some politics in who gets prosecuted in some countries. There is in the UK. Why would I think Bangladesh was better? I actually hope she's completely clean. I was always impressed by her, a little pocket firebrand who spoke eloquently and fought for what she said was right. Who wouldn't want such a person in Parliament? Yet there are serious questions over her involvement and her knowledge of her aunt's regime. Being related to someone is not something to be blamed for. I knew someone who is related to a very dark character in British history, and he wasn't keen to mention it. I could see the mix of shame and embarrassment when I pointed out that he must be a direct relative. Well, I knew him for over a decade, and he never exhibited any of their beliefs. In fact, I don't name who he's related to, because I know it's something he's a bit ashamed of. We should not judge people by their relatives, but when they have close links, it becomes intriguing. I had a relative who I thought was corrupt, and I do mean corrupt. Not £14 billion corrupt, but always came out on the winning side at other people's expense. Well, I had nothing to do with them. I did not accompany them to Russia to meet Vladimir Putin. I certainly wouldn't have posed for them in a photo. In fact, I'm not sure I have a photo of them. Channel 4 had a video of her praising her aunt's party's role in getting her into the British Parliament. It's not a good look. We talk of election interference, but what then, it's all right? Then we have the web of corruption with freebies, donations, houses, free tickets. Well, Tulip will take the fall over how it looks, not whether it's really corruption. But who else has embarrassing links to Sheikh Hasina? Will the papers ask questions about the role of a legal advisor to the Maldives, who just so happens to be Keir Starmer's classmate from law school? They say the Battle of Waterloo was run on the playing fields of Eton, but it seems like modern Britain has a lot of agreements reached in back rooms. Poor Prince Andrew can't speak to someone about business without them turning out to be a spy, corrupt, or morally questionable. Even someone who's lived their life as a spare, just on the edge of the circle of influence and power, is a target for those who want to win friends and influence people. I guess you look for the eager one. Prince Charles faced questions over a knighthood for a Saudi who donated to his charities. It smelt like a purchased bauble. It's not a good look, even if the money did good. But now there's questions over the king's links to Ahmed Shah and Rahman. Tulip Sadiq's family, some of them live rent-free in his £1.3 million property in London. I'm a chairman in the advisory council of the British Asian Trust. That's a charity founded by a certain King Charles when he was Prince of Wales. Well, Charles praised him, something he might not do again in the near future. Rahman, his wife and parents have had their bank accounts in Bangladesh frozen. But he is responsible for spending that charity's money in Bangladesh. Charles can't be and shouldn't be held responsible for the messy politics of another country. He was just dealing with business people, in a Commonwealth country as well. But it shows how royals are target for those climbing the slippery pole, exploiting the poor of a third world country. And it shows how eagerly people are welcomed by the British establishment if they come waving wads of money. With so much corruption and power, how much Bangladeshi money has sloshed its way around the Palace of Westminster? Maybe none, but a minister accused of taking part really raises the question. The question it raises for me is, why has she not been quietly sidelined? The Labour government nearly lost key ministers to pro-Gaza candidates, and we've seen numerous councillors and ministers elected on the basis of a war abroad. Let's face it, Labour is scared of criticising Muslims, because the optics they're scared of is how a core voter demographic could slip away. It used to be they wanted to keep the working class and the unions happy, and maybe import some future voters. Well, now they're scared of losing the Muslim vote. Perhaps that's the reason that they call Pakistani gangs Asian gangs. Because we all know it wasn't Hindus and Sikhs that people think did stuff. So the question I'm asking myself is, how much are our politics influenced by foreign actors? And I don't mean the Chinese or the Russians. All the column inches talking about Hillary Clinton's Russia hoax, and nothing much about the perilous state of democracy in the UK today. So much talk of sharing houses, all these houses being given around. Am I missing out on something? Starmer seems to have spent months living with Lord Ali. Angela Rayner gets free holiday from him. I mean, I've stayed with friends. I think that's not that abnormal. But when it's like a freebie house worth millions, and I use it for holidays, for my son's GCSE preparations, for press conferences, for giving speeches during lockdown where you're not allowed to leave your home, for all these different things. This is not just a Starmer thing. This seems to be like a new normal that I'm not aware of. And why does this new normal feel inappropriate? No more inappropriate than when people take to the streets to protest political issues in other countries. When I was in France, when there was British election, I didn't feel the need to break any bar stools or throw beer glasses or scream and shout in the street when the party I wanted didn't win. No. And come to think of it, I don't do that when I'm in the UK. But I certainly don't feel the need to share other countries' political problems on the street and fight about it. And this has happened several times in the last year in the UK. I'm not talking about Gaza, I'm talking about Sudan, and I'm talking about Bangladesh. When Tulip's auntie fell from power, there were fairly colourful clashes in parts of London that the media alluded to.